This is the breaking news tonight. Air Zimbabwe has been stopped from using South African airports. That's because it's failed to make certain payments to the airports company South Africa. Let's get context in detail. Bring in ENCA Money's Rupiwa Madzena. Rupiwa, what do we know about the sum that's at the bottom of this dispute?
So we've just called Airports Company South Africa to get the exact amount of how much Air Zimbabwe is owing to Acsa, and they say that it's up to the airline to provide those details publicly. So we haven't been able to get a hold of Air Zimbabwe, so at this stage we don't know how much they owe. But by the looks of it, it looks to be a significant amount given the amount of time that Air Zimbabwe has been in arrears with Acsa.
Let's talk about the amount of time. How long have they failed to make the necessary payments? Because according to the statements from the Airports Company South Africa, they say as a cash client, Air Zimbabwe is required to settle each Monday the amounts owing for landing fees, parking fees and the passenger service charge for its weekly flights.
It's been a number of months since Air Zimbabwe has been able to do this, and one would say that this is a national carrier and this is not the only state-owned entity that's finding itself in a bit of a rut at the moment. You will remember a few months ago they were struggling to pay Eskom some fees for electricity used by the power utility, so they dealt with that $10 million that they were able to pay Eskom, and this is something that they're going to have to focus on now. So it has been a few months, and it's been just a matter of dealing with the amount of money that has to be owed to various service providers like Acsa in this particular case.
So it's very much to be seen in the context of Zimbabwe's economic crisis, this latest outcome.
That's right. So we do know that Zimbabwe, earlier today I spoke about a story where they are unable to give electricity to huge companies like mining companies as well as some of the agricultural users, because they apparently owe them millions of dollars, I think to the tune of $77 million in unpaid electricity. So they're trying to rake up some operational costs from there as well. But why this important, the story is important, Tembegile, is because a lot of South African companies operate in Zimbabwe. A lot of daily business tourism takes place in Zimbabwe, given the fact that we're not seeing a lot coming through from mining or agriculture in terms of economic contributors. Business tourism remains a significant contributor. This particular development is going to hamper that quite significantly. It's also going to see probably a further shortage in the likes of cargo sent to Zimbabwe for goods and services to customers and citizens of Zimbabwe. So it is a huge economic growth blow rather in an already ailing economy.
Okay, so as we sit here tonight digesting this news, Air Zimbabwe banned essentially from landing at any South African airports. What about the people who are going to be most affected, the passengers who've booked trips on the carrier?
So in our conversation with Acsa, a very short one, I'm actually waiting to get an update from them now. They have indicated that they're not sure of the contingency plans that have been made by Air Zimbabwe to assist the passengers that are going to be needing to travel back and forth or in and out of South Africa, I suppose, back to Zimbabwe at this stage. Although Acsa did indicate that it will be having some contact details it will share for the passengers. And at this stage, I've just been told there by my colleague Heidi that there's no update from Acsa in terms of the plans that have been made by Air Zimbabwe for passengers that are stranded.
Okay, Rupiwa, we're going to wrap this up, but I want to lift a line very quickly for any of our viewers who might be booked on Air Zimbabwe. If you are likely to be affected by this banning of Air Zimbabwe aircraft using South African airports due to unpaid bills, you should make your way to Air Zimbabwe's counter. That's at Terminal B at OR Tambo International Airport. Alternatively, there is a number you can call 011 390 3064 or 011 390 3065. Also email info@airzimbabwe.co.za. ENCA Money's Rupiwa Madzena. Thank you for that. That was Rupiwa with our breaking news coming in tonight. South Africa, Acsa, the airports company, confirming that Air Zimbabwe flights will not be allowed to use any of the country's airports until they've settled their debt.